What's up guys, I got a brand new video for you today, and today we're looking at the SmallHD Focus. It's a 5-inch touchscreen external monitor for your camera. Roll the unboxing. Alright, so as I said at the start, this is a 5-inch touchscreen display. It's 720p, but don't let that fool you if you're thinking that's not really all that high resolution. On a screen this size, you don't really need anything more than that, and it's actually really nice. It's a 10-bit panel, and it's actually an IPS panel, but it will actually accept up to 12-bit color. So if your camera outputs 10 or 12-bit color, this is going to be able to handle it and give you accurate colors. It's super bright, you can use it outdoors, no problem, and that's especially good if you have a Sony camera, because as you know, the screens aren't really all that bright. This fits right on top. Micro HDMI to micro HDMI comes included with it, and it's perfect for the Sony kit. You can actually get another cable. You have to order it separately for the GH5 if you want to go to full-size HDMI. Takes a Sony L series battery, so you know the regular batteries, like I got this big guy here. This is actually a 970. It's huge. I got the 570 on right now. It's more lightweight and slim. And speaking of lightweight, this is actually a really lightweight package. It comes with the Focus tilt arm, and you can just pick it up super light on something like the Sony a6300. And the cool thing is, I don't know if the monitor has like a gyroscope built into it or something, but you can actually flip this right around and see what you're doing, and the image will actually auto rotate around for you. And that's really handy to have, especially if you're vlogging or something. I don't know if you're gonna vlog with a screen that big, but I don't know, maybe you will. At least you'll be able to see yourself. Has a built-in 3.5mm headphone jack, so for you people that have like a Sony a6300 or a Sony a6500 with no headphone jack, you'll actually be able to plug your headphones into this, and then you'll be able to monitor audio. Now the only issue that I see is that the headphone jack is kind of really close to the arm here, so you might need something like a 90-degree jack. I'm not sure, I haven't tried it, but you might have to flip some things around, I don't know. Anyway, SmallHD has a really intuitive operating system on this called Swipe OS. Has a bunch of film tools and different things that something like the Ninja Inferno has. And yeah, let's get into those right now. So when you turn your SmallHD Focus on for the first time, you're given a code and you have to activate it on the site. Once it's done, you can use the monitor. Alright, so swiping in from the right, you can make basically all the setting changes on the monitor here. You can change the brightness, you can calibrate the monitor, you can change the headphone volume if you want to monitor audio that way. There's also some options like anamorphic D-squeeze and DSLR scaling. You can also change other settings, but I'm not going to get into all of them. So on the side here, we have tools. Right now I have a bunch set up. You can add them in basically any way you want. But right here I'm just showing the aspect ratio. So sometimes I shoot and put crop bars on, so it's kind of nice to frame it up like this. Right now I'm just changing the opacity. Obviously 100% is a little bit too much, so I just dim it out a bit so I can still see what's around it. Alright, so basically clicking on it turns it on and off. We have the audio meter set up right here so you can see the audio levels coming in. Turn the crosshair on to see dead center. We got zebras turned on here. I'm going to adjust the exposure so you can see how that works. And basically you can go in and change the IRE and a bunch of other settings. Got focus peaking, and I gotta say this is one of the best focus peakings I've seen. I said that on the Atomos Ninja Inferno, but this one is also equally just as good. Super precise without the overlay being chunky. You can also go in and change the colors to whatever you want, basically. Change the sensitivity and the threshold and different things like that. It also has pinch to zoom, which is pretty awesome. And what I really like is that you can actually zoom in super far on this, more than anything I've ever used. You can go right in there and see the focus. Super nice to have. We also have vector scopes, so you can turn the vector scopes on. You can change the size of it, and you can change the location and things like that. Also got waveforms. Obviously this is pretty big, it takes up a lot of room, so you can also scale that down. You can really customize this monitor pretty much any way you want, especially with all the tools. You can move it around, and there's pretty much no latency. It's really awesome. To delete, you just click on it and click the trash can. So next thing I want to talk about is loading in custom LUTs. If you have an SD card, you can load it into the slot, go into the image capture option and set it up so it'll save to the SD card. So next we're going to take an image of what's coming into the screen, and we're going to take this JPEG, bring it into the computer and use it to build a LUT off of. So that's the image. It's actually pretty high quality. We're going to load it into Premiere and then basically open up Lumetri and build a random LUT here just for testing purposes. Then I'm going to export this as a .cube file, save it to the same SD card, load the SD card back into the monitor, then load up looks. Then we're going to choose where to load the LUT from, and that's off the SD card. Choose my LUT.1.cube, and obviously it's kind of green and ugly looking, but this is just for testing purposes, so you can see how you can turn it on and off. They've also included some pre-built LUTs, and it's awesome if you're shooting log because you can just use different things. Like this one's set up for S-Log, and it actually seems to be pretty good. So as you can tell, this thing's packed full of features and you can basically customize it any way you want. And the cool thing is that I found out is that you can actually set up different pages, so different sets of tools for different scenarios, or even different cameras. If you're going to take this off the 6300 and put it on a GH5 or something like that, you can set up a whole entire different set of tools. So another cool option is that this monitor actually has a power outlet on it, and you can charge cameras like the Sony cameras, the Panasonic cameras, maybe Canon, I'm not too sure, but basically you can come out of the outlet and then charge the entire thing off of one battery. So this can run the screen and the camera, and then I think you can get like something like 3 hours or something like that out of a battery like this, which is awesome because we all know that the Sony batteries don't have the best life ever. So being able to do something like that is really nice. Basically, that's the features, and that's all I really want to talk about. The things I love, it's lightweight. I like how it flips around. It actually came with a tempered glass screen protector, which is not just a cheap plastic one, it's actually glass. And it's really nice they included that because this will probably be thrown into my bag in different places, and it doesn't come with a carrying case, which is kind of annoying, but I have an old case from another monitor I'm going to use for that. I actually bought this just for the Canon C200 because it doesn't come with a screen. Well, the C200B that I have didn't come with a screen, and I wanted something small and lightweight. I do have the Atomos Ninja Inferno, and I kind of feel like it's a little bit too big when I'm running and gunning, especially if I'm going to be putting it on something like the Ronin. Having something lightweight like this is super nice. All the on-screen tools are awesome. The customization is awesome. The screen quality is really nice, but there's a couple things that I don't like, and I'll get to those now. First of all is the HDMI cable that it comes with. They've kind of given it a proprietary connector on the one end. It's obviously micro HDMI, but I just mean the way that it fits into the socket on the screen, and they've done this so that it can't pull out, it kind of fits in snug. But if you buy like a third-party HDMI cable, it might not fit. And so the cable they've given you here is kind of thin and lightweight. And I feel like over time of me pulling this in and out of the screen that it might break, and then you have to order a new one. Another thing is the GH5 needs a full-size HDMI, and they give you a small micro HDMI to full-size HDMI breakaway cable, but that means you still have to get a full-size HDMI cable to connect it, and then you've got extra cables and stuff like that. I do know that I think you can get the actual micro HDMI to full HDMI on their site, but I didn't get that with this kit. And another thing that I don't really like is that it has quite a bit of backlight bleed when you crank the screen up to full brightness. It's fine when you're outdoors because you actually need the brightness, but indoors, even if you do need the brightness, it's better to turn it down because what you'll find is on certain viewing angles, it kind of has like a washed out, too much light look to it. And, you know, for a monitor that's not insanely expensive, you can kind of expect something like that. But, you know, when I'm shooting with the gimbal, having it on a specific angle helped a lot more with getting the proper color and saturation. All in all, guys, it's a really nice package, super lightweight. You can put it on top of your camera, run it on the gimbal. Comes in at around $500 US, so not too expensive. Here in Canada, I think I paid like almost $700 after tax. And, you know, I've always wanted something the size of like an iPhone. I've always thought like, man, I wish the iPhone had like an HDMI input on it. And, you know, having something that's basically the same size of screen is super awesome because sometimes you don't need a massive screen. Up until now, I've only ever used 7-inch screens, and they're kind of big. You don't really need that big for most case scenarios. But yeah, if you want to pick one of these up, I'll put a link in the description where to get one. And yeah, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you dislike this video, give it a thumbs down twice. I'll see you in the next one. This sun keeps coming and going, coming and going. Make up your mind. You're ruining my exposure and probably my white balance.